All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. Volume looks like it's down a little bit. I'm going off of the microphone of the phone. I don't know why they haven't developed a little bit more control over the audio circuit, where at the phone operating system level you can select the microphones. Right. It's really what's missing. Correct. I think that's where most of the problems come in. Is kind of conflicts after that point. I was kind of surprised on iPhone that I couldn't select. Right. Hmm. Particular. So, if you really know the truth about the spiritual world, as far as, I wouldn't say the spiritual world, as far as the religious world, there's a lot of con men and con tricksters and self servers. And, the ludicrousness of it, of them going after me instead of them. But again, those people are the ones that work for them. Right. They're part of the deep state. I call it donation. Is like, if you tell me donation, it's like a scam word to me, because every spiritual community where they were making money, they would say donate, and then what else? Politicians donate. So it's kind of a scam word. Donation is, to me, is actually a scam word. Not that tithing is corrupt, or true political purpose is corrupt. It's just what I've seen. How that the donation scam works. Then of course it's tax deductible, right? Or whatever it is. I don't know if the religious or the political ones are. I don't know. Right. Young lady, is walking with her. I don't know if it's their cat or what, in her little backpack. She's out walking with her cat. That's cool. I think she's a nice person. If I think it's who I think it is. I'm sorry, Mary. I'm sorry. Now, I needed to get the massage. That's why I left Santa Fe. And I eventually, in Oklahoma, did get to it, and I started feeling better. But again, it didn't. It wasn't the right massage therapist, I guess. Right. And then they kept harassing me, and I'm just like, I gotta, like, trying to find some peace. The problem is, like, the real problem is I stayed in Naples. Because if I had started like moving around earlier, I'd had more. I would have been healthier while I was understanding what was going on. Right. So, if I had like just traveled around, like I told my mother, forget it. I'm like I was doing. It was perfect. I probably should have went out on a limb. Actually, I couldn't. My credit wasn't as good as I needed it. But what I needed was like a trailer and a van, right? Like a camper and a van. And so, if like from 2005, 2010, I just traveled, I'd have been fine. I'd have found people, and I would understand that they're everywhere. There's no moving that's going to take it away. So that was really a hindrance at that point. I mean, it really worked when I went to New Mexico. I started focusing on reestablishing my credit, and it worked. Now, it turned out my divorce lawyers were working for Deep State. That was the problem. Right. Mm. Like my attorney was supposed to be this former FBI agent, and then they put a woman in, and it never went anywhere once they put the woman in. And they just ran up a bill that I couldn't pay. It's always weird. It's pretty funny. Starting to see people. I should have seen people right when I moved in here. Right. And this probably wouldn't have happened. I think I saw her earlier with her dog. Now she's pulling her car, and her garage is next to mine. There's no doubt I should have been married. Got remarried, been in a church. Yeah, there's still no proof that churches will last in any given circumstance around the deep state. For any spiritual pursuit. I mean, you have to understand, by the time I got to 3HO Sikhs, they had already attacked my mother, indoctrinated my brother. First, they indoctrinated my mother, and then I deprogrammed my mother. So I deprogrammed my mother. So what do? They attack her. But she wouldn't pretty much do it. Only once she said, "I'm gonna call the cops." I said, "No," because I said to my father, I said, don't be so. My stepfather had passed on, and she was so angry. And I said, "Don't be so angry." And she said, "I'm calling the cops." So I was like, "No," we were in Naples. And I was putting together her Shark vacuum cleaner or something like that. I take a step, and next thing I go horizontal, boom, hit the floor. I said, "See, knock it off." I think she got a little shocked when that happened. I was sitting there putting together her bag. That's the kind of stuff I do stuff for, Right. No, I went in the right direction. I went to, and they know, like if you stay in yoga, you're probably not going to be very sick, right? They can't disable you as much. So, and I went to the right yoga. My favorite was Yin Yoga. I mean, it was phenomenal. Like on Friday nights, when everybody else going to the bar, I went to yoga, and we would do Yin Yoga, and you lay into the pose. Like I said, there was a woman that used to come into our class, and in 20 minutes she was snoozing. It was cool, but again, the community wasn't cool. The deep state, was running Venice at that point, and of course Santa Monica, right? But the instructors, I mean, I could actually, if they weren't there, I would have wired in, and they would have made me a yoga instructor somewhere along the way. Right? Maybe even Yin Yoga, but the next guy, right? No, Yin Yoga's it. If I practiced Yin Yoga religiously, I never would have been injured. Right? It's just most gentle stretching in the world. It's just like your own weight. Your own weight just stretches you. No, I was doing the right things, but they wouldn't let it form. I go to a yoga thing, like a yoga convention, and they'd be there. So I'm just laying there, and the woman next to me, what their goal is is to create an illusion and create an inside world that they can control or deceive you about. So I go to this yin yoga thing, and the woman next to me, who ended up being my partner, which may have been a setup, right? She starts saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm not feeling anything." I'm like, "What?" like we're having an inside thing. But again, maybe her intention was to try to titillate me and then say nothing was happening. I never did anything, never said anything, never even looked at her. So again, this is the type of thing they're doing. So when your kid goes off and kills himself, it could be them or their kids. They're devils, man. They're millionaires, but this planet's just a flash in the pan. That must be a new neighbor. She dresses nice. She has fashion sense. Actually, if I was like in Tel Aviv, I'd look normal with wearing them. Without a style here. Right. Actually, it's my neighbor. She got all done up. I never seen her like that before. Thank you, Larry. I know my yarmulke looks like it has cat ears. They can have it on upside down. Sometimes it happens with the knit yarmulkes. Oh my God, Larry. No, I had all the answers that you all needed spiritually to fix anything and everything. But again, your hearts were taking pleasure in righteousness and you're to be destroyed. So I'm kind of stuck here on a couple items. These Walmart purchases, I don't know. I gotta like flatten this bed tomorrow. Today I took it easy. I meant to take it easy. Obviously, I walked a whole bunch. Right. It was weird. I couldn't wear these khaki pants, man. They do stuff spiritually. It's weird, and you can't get to things in your own life. It's strange. Right. I'm able to wear these khaki pants again, a bit higher level. I think that's what pissed them off. I started buying certain things, and it made a more presentable appearance, kind of thing. They're strange people, man. It was difficult to live in Santa Fe from a like a charitable perspective. Hey, I want to heal. So I heal people that I see. Even if I'm not handing out money on any given day, or cooking food or feeding people, I'm still doing those things for them. Again, they didn't want to let me feel comfortable physically and psychologically because I don't have to worry about the afterlife. Not at all. I have one of those, when I get to heaven experiences. I've healed, you know, probably millions of people. But sometimes it's large groups of people that I heal. And then science will come up with a cure. I just saw Freddie Mercury go across the sky on some sort of disc. He's standing on a disc. There's like kind of sparks coming flying behind him, and he was standing, and he went, shh. I laughed. That's actually really what it's like in the afterlife. Right. Nah, Freddie Mercury's a good guy, man. Jesus, remember, God made Jesus the judge. Okay, Jesus has a certain character. It's the same way I am sometimes. Like I yell at some group of people, but I'll talk to them like a mensch if they show up. Right. So like churches think that like Jesus was down on people, and he wasn't. He was down on the authority, right? The things we wrestle against that aren't flesh and blood. Right. Thank you, Larry. Well, he's a righteous judge. Right. You don't think Freddie Mercury could get a pass from Jesus? You don't know, right? I'm sure he can. Cared about people. See, there's secrets. And the seventh angel brings those secrets. And there's an angel of secrets. So the LDS already know that it's not what most Christians believe it is. Right. He did the best he could, given whatever he had in that short life that he had. Is he gay today? Probably not. Is he sexual at all? Don't know. Don't really care to ask. He's with a woman. There are a lot of women that love Freddie Mercury anyway, right? Back then, there was this attraction to like gay men. Right. 100%, Larry. And he made, we asked a simple question. He just came up. It's like, who cared about Freddie Mercury more than anybody else on the planet? Could have been a woman that he eventually lives with in his afterlife. He may never spend a day with that person on earth. And I'm a healer. I heal people that I don't even know. Because I feel for them. Well, again, I had experiences like Peter. Peter said, "Who am I to defy God?" And again, I think that those words, I have to just look at the Greek and see, where it really is. But who am I to defy God? I don't think it's kind of like that's God and I'm just a man. I think it was Peter's reverence of God. Who am I to defy the love and reverence of God? When God took the gospel to the Gentiles. Again, there's models in the scriptures to take the gospel to others that we would not normally. Again, it happened in a very short period of time. that we received, that the Christians received scripture, that you thought this was only for the Jews, but it's also for the Gentile. You thought it was only for the righteous, but it's also for who? See? Well, Paul is actually, again, he's a temple rabbi, is who he was, and I guess a law enforcement officer of the temple. Right. So Paul was much more regimented than Jesus. And at times, I know Paul's work was important, but I look at Paul and I say, did you? And again, he did complicate it too much. And where did he get? Where did it get him? He had to go back, revisit those communities, and uncomplicate it. Correct. When I was a young boy, my first introduction to Jesus was probably a Catholic church. I didn't even think of Jesus. I just was in a church. Learned Latin, didn't know it had anything to do with Catholicism. When I was in elementary school, they were teaching us Latin. Really loved that language. Asparagus. Asparagus. It's funny because one of my favorite foods as a child, and that was in my Latin class. Okay. But when I moved to the suburbs, my neighbor was a musician kind of guy who sang. God rest his soul. He never beat his meth addiction and killed him. Thank you, Larry. And he smoked, I'm sure. And he ate fatty foods. He cooked. He cooked like amazing, but it was fatty foods. Right. Thanks, Larry. I mean, this is not like the health of my body is because of them. I would have lived an absolutely healthy life. Right. I just have to stay away. Because when you go into massage, nobody psychologically operates you and tortures you out of it while paying people to put you out of it. Right. So my rest of my life would have been full of massage and chiro. Right. People were being paid to destroy my massage therapy. That's what it was. It had nothing to do with me doing anything. In fact, they were the ones that were doing things. But he and again, even I think his girlfriend was a Jewish girl, and she was a singer, right, for at least a period of time. That was his girlfriend. To see it. So my real first connection to Christianity was Jesus Christ Superstar and God's believe it or not. But it's very important to understand the underlying themes. Again, so I see that. My mother starts explaining to me her short story. Look, they're mad. Yes, they're spiritual language. They're rejecting spells from major law enforcement entities all across corruptly and criminally. This is what they do with their time. They're sitting at home, eating their dinner and cursing me, sitting behind their cloaking devices so you can't see who's watching me, and cursing my life and paying people to screw up my life. Well, don't do it, and I won't talk about it. How about that? Why don't we get to that point? Ignorance is all that you all are. You're just ignorant as the day is long. destroyed the government, destroyed the nation. But we're rich and we got money. The nation's destroyed. It's disgusting what this nation has become. Well, why don't you move? No, because it's my nation and I'll get it back somewhere before I leave, I'm sure. Along with the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. Thank you, Larry. So, my first experience with Christianity was Jesus Christ Superstar. Again, remember my mother's doing short story class, and she's explaining to me her class, and she explained to me the lottery, the short story, the lottery. That's a lot. Has to do with a lot of what happened in my life. You know, do your neighbor dirty so you can live. Right. So that was interesting. Once I realized that something like the deep state could exist, you know, not Trump's deep state, not the Democrat deep state, just neutral thing, not political. So the short story, the lottery, I guess from the 60s or 70s, it's really what happened. Yeah, 100%. Betray your neighbor. Again, the deep state is, and again, it's Republicans, Democrats, whoever it is based in the concept of doing your neighbor dirty, not loving your neighbor, doing your neighbor dirty. But of course, they get 3 or 4 neighbors together to do that, and then they crucify Christ. So you see, that's what's happened throughout history. That's why God put that out there. Love your neighbor as yourself. Thank you, Larry. Well, to preclude these crucifixions of neighbors. When I woke up, that was one of the first things God hit home. Again, I think they said it somewhere recently. Love people. Love God, love people. Crazy. Thank you, Larry. So again, it's very important to understand those hidden meanings. I mean, you can get mad at it and say it's disrespectful, but it's very important to understand the hidden meanings in both God's spell and Jesus Christ Superstar. No, I've had my Gethsemane, Garden of Gethsemane moments, and I understand what it is. And it's just essentially what happens is God takes his hand off of Jesus. Now, why it happened, was it forced? Did somebody block Jesus from God? How did it work? I can't tell you. And I just actually just came through a period of time where God was, there but not there. No, I don't think it was a planned trial of Job. I've been through enough of those that God doesn't have to bring any more. I should have, 10 million times what I had before they started. I mean, the idea that you break into my living space, you should be thrown under the prison for that, or buried under the prison for that. 100%. As cops, or allowing it as cops. Come on. Thanks so much. You caused my poor health. I wouldn't have poor health. Not at all. I know how to keep my health up. I went to several places to keep my health up. You have no idea how many people? Well, that's BS. There's a lot of people. Hundreds of people that did it to me. Like I said, a first-year FBI agent can investigate it and prosecute probably 50 people off of it. It's so easy. The scam is that it's difficult to see. We got Francis's candles going here. Nice and nice vanilla. These are nice candles, perfect for Shabbat. Even probably more perfect for memorial candles. Let me see if I can get them to come up here. So sorry. I painted that crown gold. Came out well. Let's see what the incense is looking like. Looks like it's still there. Could still be used. The myrrh looks a little burnt, but see where it goes. Frankincense is usually the most fragrant. Myrrh is kind of like a something's over there. It's unfocused. No, I was so happy. Before, the night before the hearing thing and all that happened, or like I was going to sleep, I was like, I finally figured out how to make the bed comfortable. Everything was wrong. My back was starting to come in, in the right way, and I woke up deathly ill. I don't believe that was God's plan for life, not at all. Again, that's another reason why God wants to be able to communicate to me, so I can bring the truth to the planet. It's Satan's plan for my life, and the government's plan for my life, and the criminal narcotics distributors' plans for my life, the sex traffickers' plans for my life. You name it. Thank you, Mary. Not my whole life. All I was trying to do is have a good marriage, and that's it. Find a woman to have a good marriage. That was it. They'll pay for it, believe me. Again, they are the end times, and there is a part of it where they may have heard my voice describe what's going on here. Again, it could be a paradox, right? Where Paul says that they're blocking the marriages, or forbidding marriage. It's deep state forbids marriage. I was forbidden marriage. Right? They destroyed that marriage and forbid me to date or marry. They desired me to be a gay man. Actually, a gay man that was sexually risky. No doubts what he wanted. That's why they tell people that's what I was. That way they could get people to will it. Oh, people are sick. You put them into something like that, they'll will it all day long. saying it is before, like before they ever came there, but knowing that they were doing it. So again, I don't know if I can be part of the LDS church because, like in LDS, you're not supposed to say this type of thing. But, well, if they would have let me wire into the church, I'd say, okay, I already know that somebody in the church has already been hired. Okay, I know that for a fact. I'm not against the church. I'm not against people. You need to keep an eye on your people to make sure they don't work for criminals, especially criminals that call themselves cops or PIs, but they're doing something dirty like a psychological operation. So they'll put the person down until they can't stay no longer, and it may be already now. 100%. God doesn't put up with that stuff. God doesn't stand for that stuff. Right? Somebody in your church goes dirty. God says, "Get away from it. It's dirty." Because it doesn't. This place doesn't matter to God. Your church doesn't matter to God. It doesn't matter who your church is or what you say your church is. Because again, it's your effectuations. It's not necessarily your religion. It's your effectuations. Your effectuations are dirty, then you're dirty, and you go to hell. No matter how much you tithe, no matter how much service you engage in, if you take one person that comes to your church in good faith and attempt to deep state them, attempt to harass them, attempt to run them into the ground, God will send you and all that you're with to hell. So don't waste what you've done in your life to take money to be dirty and call it good. I love being a Baptist preacher. Just the mezuzah. Understand what I'm saying? There are no second chances. You've been given much. You've been given the Bible. You've given the Book of Mormon. You've been given way in life that nobody else has. Don't risk it by taking money from the deep state or respecting a dirty cop because you're afraid what it'll do to you or what she'll do to you. How you doing? Nice neighbor there. I love that vehicle you got. I wish I'd have bought something like that. That's a gorgeous, gorgeous vehicle. It's a black Santa Fe. It has those red tail lights. Looks great. Oh, is that your wife or something? Girlfriend? I like that woman. She's a nice woman. Black woman. They delivered her stuff to my box one time. So I went and delivered it for her. Remember, you've been given much in the LDS church, and the more is expected of you. So don't play that game. 100%. 100%. When I'm done, they probably won't want me there. 100%. Take your tithe and go somewhere else. So don't let them build you up to believe that what you're doing in evil is somehow good. God is saying right now that God and Jesus would rather you go out with 15 prostitutes than do what I'm speaking about right now. But of course, they'll tell you you're holy and good for doing their bidding. And don't worry about it. I mean, take the 30 pieces of silver. You can use it. You know who you are. You know who you are. Yeah, remember what I was telling you this morning? Well, I'll just hide from God. I'll shut the door. So, like, I have to get changed. And this gets cool. Yeah. So I have to get changed, and the ark's there. I brought it to a certain room, and so I'm like, I got to go to the other room. And God's like, I've seen you naked. Like, yeah, but it's the point of it. So then I'm in the bedroom. Howdy, howdy. I'm in the bedroom, and the door is open, and an air Tomid is over top of the ark, and it's flashing at me. It goes all the time. It's a light on the ark. You never extinguish it. And God, I'm seeing my neighbors now. See what they did? I guess my neighbors are seeing me too. Thank you, Larry. There's this kid that's really excited. I don't know, maybe he's got mental issues, but it's really cool. And his mom or grandmom's real nice. Right. Should be like something like a actor or something. Somebody killed that as a sign because they said I should have been an actor and they killed my wife. Right. I was a very talented kid. But at a certain point, my stepfather came in and he was abusive and ruined it. How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Great. A lot of times they think I'm talking on my phone, so neighbors are coming along. Maybe I'll straighten that LDS church up. Again, there are people, they may not even know it, but they would trade, like trans women, they would trade the life they have to be you in the LDS. If they could just get there. Again, you've been given much, the more is expected. So again, you're not really doing anything that you can't do. I mean, I understand there are disabled people in the LDS church. I understand there are people that struggle in the LDS church. I understand you do addictions counseling in the LDS church. I understand all that. But a lot of you, even there's people that can't, that person was an addict. But you look at their life, the life really isn't that bad. Health isn't that bad. They get addicted every season, they get saved, and that's it. They have a great life. Right? Sometimes you got to go through hell to get to heaven. And that's what's the concept in my life, but they never let the hell out. Right? Just kept taking them 30 pieces of silver no matter where I went. You think it's bad how much money they pay to what is that, DEI stuff? Again, all I got to say is, again, I'm the middle of the road, right? I'm right concept. The opposite of DEI is not a bunch of white people in charge, which means DEI was taking advantage of the system. There's no doubt. Right. But the answer isn't, taking people of color and running them to the ground. And that's what started happening. And I'm glad, they stopped. Hopefully they stopped. I haven't seen much about DEI hires lately. Right. Well, it's just like, it's a racial remark. It's a racist remark. You're a woman, you're black, you're gay, therefore you're a DEI hire? Like they would never have gotten a job? Because everybody's brilliant like Elon? Elon's in a system. Phil is in a system. What's the other guy? What's the guy's name? I forget his name. Probably will me to forget him. The guy who was Jewish and didn't want to be more mentored. Forget his name. They're in a system that took care of them. Now, you never would have been there if you weren't taken care of. And there may have been hidden spies taken care of on top of the system you're in. It really hasn't nothing to do with who you are. You just were selected. So again, the idea of this DEI hires and stuff like that, you have to be careful. That's racist speech. Well, judges will sit back, and the ACLU and NAACP will sit back to a certain point and then bring that up. And you end up paying people a lot of money. I see that Senator Kennedy realizes that the whole model of, playing around with foreign powers and saying that disrespecting the court in relation to it is not a way to be. Again, I spoke about El Salvador's type of government before El Salvador, but again, if you go over a line, I'm not part of it, but I'm a good portion of changing that system. Right? I spoke about doing it in Mexico, but again, the problem was Mexico, we haven't been successful in Mexico. Right? But again, we're not Pinochet either. And again, I think something's going on corrupt in El Salvador. The president may not know. So again, they're again corruption, right? Strong arming, right? For personal benefit and gain. Well, the idea is this: that we always try wherever somebody is in an incarcerated scenario, we try to move them up. I'm going to heal the Amazon guy because I said incarcerated scenario, and he drove by the P&A Center. Stands for prime. The P&A Center. I got to heal this guy. I'm going to prison someday. I don't know. Thank you, Larry. He's driving Amazon while black. And on the side says the fee is free, he said. Or something. That's how the world's supposed to work. When it works like that, I can find my way. Right? No matter what they do. But then I can also heal people more. So. That lady's nice for waving to me and trying to make the kid all excited. Right. No, she's trying to like mirror the kid's excitement when they're all. You're not supposed to do it to anybody. Again, yeah, I'm going to bring it up. So the idea of Jesus having to be crucified is a much misunderstood conversation. When Jesus came to the planet, he knew that like when he was in heaven before he came here, he knew he was sacrificing himself. Now, Jesus didn't know the Garden of Gethsemane feeling in heaven, in the place where we are before here, in the celestial realm. Right. So he comes here and goes through all that. But he had to go through it like that because of where the planet was. It had nothing to do with him. I mean, yes, he would sacrifice himself, but that was the option, the best life scenario for Jesus. Thank you, Larry. He could have lived to be an old rabbi and converted the world, Remember, I'm 60 and Jesus only made it to 33. That's it, man. Thank you, Larry. I'm so glad the last kind of video of the Pope is him healing everybody and praying for everyone. Right. That's perfect. I knew something was up. And here we have the candles, the mourner's candles. Why do I look for you at my altar? Because you were here earlier, Pope Francis. He'll go throughout the world going different places. Again, he'll find the little people. That's generally what happens. It's like the saints. Some of the saints, I think they do that. I know for sure that Elijah does stuff like that. Right? No, these are examples. Again, these are patterns of who people are. Again, sitting in the temple of God as if they are God is an example of the son of perdition, but it's also something that's happening on the planet. Agreed, Larry. Agreed. I just wish y'all didn't get this far into my life, so I could have stayed healthy. They knew what they were doing. They could see the changes in my life, my health, my personality, the way I walk. They see everything. They're disgusting. Yeah, pickish people, just like the Legion of Demons. Nobody in that church is in danger from me. They're in danger from people that offer them money, and then they send themselves to hell because they take the money. Thank you, Larry. And y'all trying to call evil good and good evil. I mean, sitting there watching us all behind cloaking mechanisms. Bunch of voyeuristic dweebs. Right. Like I try to figure out everybody's terminology. It's so difficult. Like the modern terminology, like the trans terminology, the porn people terminology. Right. You have to understand who they are before you can figure out how to fix it, right? And what they're talking about, so you can heal it. I've studied all of it. I know the demons and the ins and outs of how they sexualize people. Again, they would never let me live with the information I have. Thank you, Larry. I never wanted to have that kind of life. I just wanted to have a quiet life. Right. But again, before you know it, they've taken you down, and you can't function while you're not knowing that that's happening. Little did I know, the key to more disability money would have been actually acknowledging the panic attacks and the anxiety they were causing. Right. They would have paid out in a second. But I was afraid of giving them more ammunition to do what happened to me after I left the government. It was kind of like, what's that guy? What's the guy from NYPD? Schoolcraft. They carried Schoolcraft to me. Right. Thanks, Larry. So I don't want to give them any more. Again, Satan led it. I know they're blessed by Satan. It is. Oh my God, sir. Right. Your police department's driving around causing disability, causing panic attack, causing anxiety in their victims, telling you that it's good and they're saving the community and taking out the bad guy and the bad guy when they're the bad gal and the bad guy. Oh, God. Thank you, Larry. They weren't confused. They knew what they were doing. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack or a stroke all those years. I guess because my blood pressure really wasn't up. I just had like weight coat syndrome. That's what they focused on. They tried to stroke me out, tried to give me a heart attack all those years. I mean, I built that redwood bed, and they had uh, a bed bug invasion within like 6 months. I threw it away. I'm like, no way. Right. They cursed it. See, deep state cursed the bed, and then it caused the bed bug invasion. And like, if you got red wood, that's what bed bugs like, red wood. So I threw it away. Oh my God. I probably should have just took it to storage. Right. Put it over there until It cleared. Right. I bought an air bed. I had no end tables, nothing, nothing near the bed. I put down a piece of plastic sheeting, aired up an air bed, and that was it. Actually, no, it was a foam bed. That was it. A foam mattress. That was it. I got like a 10-inch or 12-inch deep foam mattress. And I put it in one of those things. They're devils, man. And they get their way to stalk their victims by saying some law enforcement bullshit. Psychobabble. Larry. I mean, they're psycho killers, man. Psycho killer. I just imagine you were in the scene. You just spit on you. That's what you want to imagine all day, Larry? No. On reverse. That's what you all want to imagine all day. You can't take it. They already got my verbiage. That's what you want to imagine all day, all of you. Then I'll imagine it too. That's how they do it, all of you. They spit on you in their mind all day. They crap on you all day in their mind. Hire people and bring people in all day to run you into the ground. Kiss them, Azusa. I'm really sorry for what happened. All you had to do was stay away from me. I could have handled my life on my own. We've been married. I've been in the church the whole time. Correct, Larry. I just volunteered. I didn't have to be paid position. I didn't have to be a preacher or a pastor. I mean, I would have preached at some point, right? Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to a Baptist church. I go to both, I guess. I go to a Baptist church. I mean, if it's a Trump thing, nah, I don't mix politics and religion. Right? It's actually a sin. Correct, Larry. Now, again, you can have support of the president, that kind of thing, but not in the church. I don't see that in the church. Correct, Larry. I mean, it was an eye opener when I was down on my knees praying Bush in. I mean, I'm not lying. I've seen this happen in my life before, at other times. So I'm still asleep though, but so I'm in my study in my house in Pennsylvania, and the family's watching the election. And I think I had my Bible open to something, and then I got down on my knees and I prayed Bush into office. And as soon as I did that, my family started cheering, and that's the moment when Bush began to take the election and won. And then that's the same administration that killed him or allowed it to happen. They swear Bush didn't authorize anything like that. They tried to say it was authorized. They said something else was authorized. I'm not lying. I got down on my knees, prayed to the Lord for Bush to be elected, George Bush Jr. And just as I prayed that, my family started cheering. Thank you, Larry. I didn't know anything about who I was. Again, I was in another church, and I prayed something similar to what I prayed the last LDS class we had. I prayed for the Spirit to move into the community. And, of course, this guy was a seer. I didn't know anything about seeing at that point. I was just being to understand. And he just got this look on his face because he's seeing it, you know. 100%. Again, if you're around me enough and I pray enough around you and you can see, you'll know what's going on. Right. Thanks, Larry. Well, I think it would be good for that information to make it out in the community, the LDS information. Again, if you don't pray your information into the community, then it's not going to find its way into the community. If you don't pray for people to see, then they're not going to see. Again, pray also means heal. I do a healing thing a little bit different. 100%. No, I went to a home church, and it was like CIA people or something. I don't know, FBI. I don't know who they were, but they weren't regular people. They were trying to set me up. 100%. So the dude would like start touching. Like one of the things they do is touch parts of their body. They're trying to do shit to you. Stick their finger in their ear, touch their eye, right? Because they're trying to alter you, right? So we get there one Sunday, and it's me, this one guy, and like 6 women, younger women, I guess, the middle age, you know. So the redhead, they say, okay, you go to Starbucks with her. We're all going to go do something together with somebody that's in the group. So I go to Starbucks. And she says, like, it was really weird. So again, I'm a cop, you know, I know cop stuff. So I'm like thinking, this is hinky, right? And I'm like, she's like, well, what we're supposed to do now, like, this is like out of the group. Like in the group, they said go with one woman, right? So out of the whole group, we're just there by myself with her. And she said, we're supposed to try to, you know, now you have to approach somebody else in the group and try to go to Starbucks with them or wherever with them. That's what we're supposed to do next. I never received that instruction in front of anybody or with the group leader. It was a setup. 100%. Well, because there were people in the leadership that were fighting the fact that I was actually sexual in any way. Right. 100%. You know, there were people trying to investigate me for sex crimes. I'm like, he's not even sexual. Get out of here. So they were constantly trying to alter that. And again, I did fail twice, and I said one night stand, and I had sex with a girlfriend a few times. But without them, I never would have had sex with anybody until I was remarried. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, I used to say, you know, like when it came to this point to talking about these young girls and stuff that they put around me, I said, your kids have had sex with other people more than I have. So knock the bullshit off. They're bringing kids around me that are sexual. Or teens. Right. Oh my God. Again, I studied it all. I know how it all works. No, they're witches, man. They're trying to possess me. If you make the goal, again, if you look at, you know, society and social settings and law enforcement, like how something gets so twisted, you know, like law enforcement sometimes gets so twisted. If you're in groups of law enforcement officers, their priorities sometimes would be so skewed. Again, being racist and stuff, it's just insane. All the weirdo stuff that they do and they're into. Right. There again, I figured out by the end that some of these guys wanted to have sex with me and wanted me to be like a cuck or something. And I started studying that. Right. And these are cops, man. So when they're having sex, they're thinking of you being their cuck. That's what some of these sex investigators are like. That's the reality of who they are. They're devils, man. And meanwhile, I'm finally finding out the kids are having sex at 12 years old, and they're bringing these teen kids around me, trying to put the spell on me, the voodoo, while not letting me date women of my own age and things like that, or even have relationships and friendships. Right. I began to figure it out that these kids were sexual, and I'm thinking, at least, even on the, again, when you're bodybuilding, every porn, not every porn star, but a lot of porn stars are bodybuilders. So again, they could be fantasizing about who knows what. Right. They're looking at porn, they're having sex with the kids in their school, when you think about New Mexico, like all of a sudden I'm just because again the drug dealers and the sex traffickers they wanted to put me in like that, right, along with the deep state. Right, they make deals, so they're gonna make me out to be the sex fiend, right? Meanwhile, like these 16 and 18-year-olds and 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds, they're having more sex than I am with more partners than I've had my whole life. And they're not even 18. And it turns out 3HO is part of it, and they're a sex cult. Do you tell me God wasn't mad and God's not mad and God is with all of you because you destroyed my life? Y'all got to be nuts. Correct, Larry. Meanwhile, I know for a fact these detectives are sexually whacked. And these cops, the state troopers, are sexually whacked. Running around with women, having sex like crazy. I mean, New Mexico, everybody knows it's STD capital of the world. That includes state troopers and cops and all their flim flam women. 100%. They just want you to be part of it, right? Misery loves company. 100%. They want you to be having STD. I'm the king of scared straight teaching curriculum. Thank you, friend. There's corporate security, Target, Walmart, all part of it. We're all part of the end times beast. Calling evil good and good evil. It's strange because in the 80s and the 70s, there were like these films about corporate security being evil. But it's before I woke up and I didn't know that Hashem puts things in regular secular movies. I'm so sorry. They spent a lifetime trying to disable me and called it good. They'll go to hell. There's no doubt. Again, God's final judgment. I'm not God. Right. I can obviously think scripturally outside the box of some BS church. Right. They're willing against me going to a Baptist church. I can already feel it. Hashem just told me, Hashem said, feel it now. Feel if you can get to a Baptist church. You know what it felt like earlier, right? No, I have a relationship like that with God. That's why when you tell me God could be a man, yes and no. Right. Because God can be anything God wants. God's already, again, read the scripture. Does God have a physical body? No. Will we have a physical body like this in the afterlife? Yes and no. Right. It's you're in a different environment where bodies don't degrade. So I think we have a body similar to our original body, like in the garden. Okay, the spirit body in the garden was flesh and blood, but it's not here. Again, this is not the garden. This is a place where Adam and Eve fell to. But they're trying to change the subject. So God told me, "Oh, I should be afraid of you because you're a cold case investigator that lies, steals, cheats, murders, rapes, pillages, plunders, and he'll go to hell. Hopefully sooner than later." That's the big fear. They'll put a cold case on someone. It's a big extortion thing they use. It's extortion racket. That's who the cold case investigators are now. They're extortionists. Yeah, they do some real work, some. Missing exploited children. You don't want to put a sex crime investigation on you, do you? It's a racket. It's an extortion racket. Yeah, they do some real work, some. Give man time and everything will become evil. Thoughts of his mind and thoughts of her mind are evil continually. It's great stuff. Nobody else in the world will say it, right? You know it, but you won't say it, right? 100%, brother. God bless you, Larry. You know it's you, Fiddly. You know you did it, Fiddly. Now that I got you here. No, I didn't say Fiddly. I said state and local officers. Fiddly can't be trusted with immigration work. State police are a good one to do because they do so much interdiction, so much highway work. Right. I mean, local officers too, but first thing you want to do is special deputize your state officers, your state highway patrol. Just make them special immigration deputies through the Marshal Service Program. Right. Thank you, Larry. And then they'll be able to do the way it should be constructed is that it's like a one-stop deal. They stop them, they identify them, they call the number, they send the information in. They can even do it on the road, hopefully, right? And then find a nice place for a quiet place for a Zoom arraignment or whatever they call it. It's not arraignment. I guess it is like an arraignment, detention hearing, whatever it is, with immigration judge. You don't initially you don't want to flip any triggers that requires a magistrate judge. Right. You can always charge them later. Well, because the system's bogged down, and the system will be bogged down. So you want it to be clean. All you want to do is find a reason to detain. If it's, again, I'm not telling you to detain people willy nilly. Right. Thanks, Larry. Find a reason. Right. So again, just an immigration violation, and then the officer sends the information to ICE, and then ICE schedules a Zoom hearing. I don't know. Again, if there's a warrant already, then it's no big deal, or a deportation order, whatever it is. I don't think they have to have one that day. But again, if you have a 24/7 crew of immigration judges just doing phone hearings or video hearings, it should work pretty good. Right. It's the federal government's authority is where the immigration program comes from, and jurisdiction. But they can deputize people into it, and that's what should be done. I was so healthy, right? They just kept kept applying that stress. Who knows? They probably drugged me. Probably also drugged me. Right. I agree, Larry. Right. Again, when it comes to that program, state officers are most likely the first ones you want to put into the program. highway patrol. 'Cause basically, they probably have the most. But again, sometimes in the inner city, and again, if the city's going to apply those laws. Thank you, Larry. Right, they were not supposed to be in my life, not whatsoever. They made way. They're scammers. It's a racket. Well, if you wouldn't do it, I wouldn't be here talking about it, would I be? I'd be in a church talking about something else. 100%. Agreed, Larry. Trying to figure out something. Okay, I took the line. Take it a little later. I love sleeping in front of this ark. Time to rinse my sinuses again. No, what they did is they did a background on me and realized I was an abused child, realized I was sexually abused. So what spies use that for is to screw the mind up of their victim. Right. I agree, Mary. They were hoping for a Luna suicide. They were shooting for two, Wacko. God bless, Larry. I mean, you can imagine that people just trying to do their job in the government, and you got the deep state people with all that psychological warfare and psychological torture knowledge, right, trying to take them out at the same time. And believe me, the deep state, they don't work that hard. They sit around until it's time to kill someone. They're murderers, man. The father's the devil. Exactly who they are. There's nothing else can be said, except for the other things I say. That's why they didn't want me around, because I don't do that. That's it. Deep State got me to stop rinsing it for a while. Back into it. They think things. They just even curse it. Like, it was weird because I couldn't even hold one nostril closed and sniff all my sinuses clean, because you could almost clean it out just by sniffing it, right? You're sniffing it in and then get it to your throat, right? I mean, it had my mind just blocked from everything. It was spells, man. And I was having spells. So you see that? Again, that's the way the English language is built. It's a seer language. Oh my God. Crucifixion, spells. I mean, don't go to hell. I didn't probably have to take those antibiotics at all. I just needed a massage. Right. So from like last fall, I needed to get massage. I probably needed it the whole time, but if I'd have got the cranial tissue massage, this never would have happened to me. Boy, it's gorgeous out here tonight. It was so weird. Last fall, I came out here and there was a possum on this one tree that's not here anymore. I got him to cut that down so it wouldn't fall in a car. That's the kind of thing I do. I take care of a community for real, not for steal, like crooked people do. Well, I love that Narcomet. It came out so good. I was supposed to build 2 more lampstands. I have all the parts. I just haven't got to it. Hopefully, I heal. Correct parts. No, they shouldn't have been allowed to disable me. That's what they're doing. I mean, come on, disabling me and trying to kill me. That's all they're doing. They're sickos, piggish people, just like the Legion of Demons. I don't rinse off my door. And I just imagine how many anti-Jewish remarks were made by these people. Correct. While they were doing me. Well, I was setting you up, though, right? I always set you up. You wouldn't do it unless I said something to set you up, right? If someone think they're in trouble, they want us to believe they're in trouble. I mean, you know, probably got it all cornered, but everything I say has weight, right? I doubt. It's just like I said, Trump ain't going to jail. You probably ain't going to jail, whoever you all are, right? But again, you're going to go to hell. I mean, if I were all you, I'd rather go to jail here than jail in hell. I'm running out of juice there, I think. Yeah, I got to get the other phone. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God and all that you do.